Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Choose page. We're really glad that you're here. This is my good friend, Aaron Montgomery. He is from our Success Group. He just launched a new business book that was just published this week. I'm so excited for him and so proud of him.
Thank
And he
you.
is also the facilitator of the mastermind group I'm in, Masters of Success. I had his wife on last night. They
I was
are
gonna say,
just
most importantly, I'm husband to
husband to
Kylene.
Kylene and dad to Lewis. And I love sometimes Aaron uses Lewis in like voiceovers and things, and I absolutely love it. And I've gotten to meet Lewis, and he is an amazing kiddo. So
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
welcome,
Thank you.
Aaron. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. I think you're doing some really awesome things with this Choose Challenge, and I love. I'm kind of a lurker, so I apologize. I've just got so many things going on right now. I couldn't take on one more thing, but I love
It's
kind of jumping in there and reading and participating from afar.
it's all good. Sometimes it's a lot for me too, but it's something that I have found for me is getting me back on track. And like I.C.E, inspire, collaborate, and encourage. Those are my love languages. So
Yep.
I get back, I think, far more than I give.
Yeah.
At least
Isn't that cool?
that's how I feel.
Yeah. Isn't that cool though? When you do something like that, you kind of go, wow, I got back more than I gave, and you
Yeah.
feel like when you're putting it together, you're giving a lot, right? And
Mhm.
so I love that. Yeah, I think it's really cool. And like I said, it just where I'm at right now, I'm like, man, I can't take on one more thing, but I love that
Right.
this is happening. And I
Right.
said, I love watching and listening and reading everybody has
Mhm.
activities and gratitudes and affirmations and such cool stuff that you got going
Yeah.
there. So
Well, so
thanks.
much of it, like Kylene said last night, we put it out there and it just ripples. And it's the gratitude. Gratitude is such a superpower. But then you go on to the reflecting and celebrating and all of that. And I found just being excited about having you on today and talking about the reflecting. I've even been reflecting just in the first 4 days of this year,
Sure.
and I've already like tweaked what I'm doing. I figured out that I have too many carbs in my diet right now, and no wonder I'm not making any progress.
Yeah.
And so you can tweak things by doing those things and going forward. So I want you to talk about reflecting and celebrating and the importance of it, because you do such a good job of it. And then you can ask me questions, or I think there's a few people in here right now. So if you're in the chat, say hi. Would love to hear from you.
Yeah, and any questions, and make this a conversation with you guys in the chat. That would be even better. So, well, thanks again for the opportunity. Yes, this is the type of thing that I get super jazzed up about. So if I'm like talking too fast, you guys just slow me down here a little bit. But no, and I love talking about this with Tanya too, because we are so alike. We understand. And I have to be honest, I didn't come about this naturally myself. I came, and I think Tanya and I are a lot alike in this way, right? I came from a long line of blamers, complainers, and excuse makers, right? The sky was always falling, and it's, you have to be intentional. It's already came up, Tanya. The word is already here, but
Every time.
yeah, you do have to be intentional about it. And so I've really just felt that superpower, like you said, starting with gratitude. Kylene, that's her gig, and she brought that to my life. I'll be fully honest. Before I had her in my life, I was always looking out to the future. Okay, great. I've got a lot of blessings, but I'm not there yet, right? And so I can't be grateful. I can't, I wasn't an ingrate, so to speak. I wasn't, but I was always striving so much that I forgot to kind of latch on to being grateful. But then what I discovered is it did come from just reflection, right? We all get going so fast and we just want to get on to the next thing. And that's great, right? To keep in action. And I'm big into, let's get action happening. Let's get movement going. But we have to have at least enough of a pause, at least enough of a moment to reflect and say, well, what did that last action actually accomplish? Did I get closer to where I want to go, or do I need to make an adjustment? But if you don't stop and reflect, you don't have the ability to make that adjustments. and then be grateful, because once you start being grateful for the successes that you've
Mhm.
had, the things that have gone right, the things that you have in your life. I mean, the fact that we can be here on a computer talking to each other, having a relationship, we've been able to meet face to face, but I have a lot of
Right.
great friends that I have not been able to meet face to face yet.
Mhm.
And so, just those little things are such cool things to be grateful for. And so anyhow, I've gone all over the place, but reflection really to me is an opportunity to kind of look at everything, find the gratitude in it. What can we celebrate? And then take a look at what, maybe didn't go exactly according to
Mhm.
plan, not as a, oh my gosh, Aaron, you did such a terrible job, but as a, oh, what an awesome opportunity to have that learning that I can now put into my toolbox. And the next time I'm faced with a similar situation, I can do better the next time. Right.
Yeah.
So,
And we
the
can go back to,
yeah,
sorry,
go
the
ahead.
word that we used yesterday was pivot. You can
Yes.
reflect, and if things aren't going right, pivot to do something else. And sometimes that could be the best blessing ever.
Yep.
Or if things are going right, that's when you celebrate and give yourself a high five.
Exactly. And yeah, I love that the pivot, right? I think that's
Mhm.
really good. And it comes from that only comes from a place of saying, I got to be truly honest with myself, right? What, because like I said, I came from this long line of blamers, complainers, and excuse makers, right? That
Mhm.
that was the Montgomery family, and being able to understand that at the end of the day, every result that I've gotten has come from some way, shape, or form, some action or inaction of mine,
Mhm.
right? I've either created,
Correct.
promoted, or allowed that thing to happen.
Mhm.
And so when I'm reflecting, I have to be brutally honest with myself. Again, not as a way to beat myself up, but as a way to truly make progress and to truly grow. What
Mhm.
can I do to change that situation? Right. Okay. So maybe, I'm trying to think, so I did struggle to get the book to a finish line. I, was making excuses or doing different things. And, I pushed it out. I had the date that I said, and, oh, well, I said Q4 of 2023. Okay. Well, December 31st is Q4, but it would have been way better if I would have got it done at the beginning of December or November. Right.
Mhm.
Um, and so I had to take that moment to reflect and say, what is it, Aaron? What, because it wasn't, I mean, sure, there was lots of great excuses. There was a lot to it. Just getting a book cover designed was a way bigger, and not from a design standpoint. I've got lots of great friends like you that
Mhm.
could have helped me with this, but you know, how thick is my book going to be? How many pages is that going to be? Because then you have to design the spine to. Anyhow, there was
Right.
also great quote unquote excuses or justifications, but until I stopped and reflected and really was honest with myself that there was a limiting belief,
Mhm.
why me? Why am I worthy enough to put this book out there? Right. And that was a huge reflection and honest moment. It wasn't for me to say, Aaron, you aren't worthy. Aaron,
Mhm.
you're terrible and you're not achieving your goal. It was a chance to say, yep, that's a limiting belief. I let it come in. I just sat with it for a second. I said, is that true?
Mhm.
Right? Is that true? And I said, well, no, I don't really believe that's to be true if I'm intentional and honest, about it. But something inside of me was holding me back. And so I
Mhm.
just kept doing the work to build off of that. And that's what the reflection process is all about. I can get more into that here, but I want to make sure that I take a breath for a moment and let you interject if there's any comments out there that we need to hit. So
I know for me, before I started reflecting, I would just get stuck in the mud all the time. And now I realize that if I'm procrastinating, it's usually coming from a place of fear,
yep,
or like in the thing that we did in our last training, a place of shame.
yep,
You know, fear, shame, and what was the other?
regret.
Regret.
Yep.
Um, so I try to be completely truthful with myself now. I'm like, okay, what's going on? So that
Hmm.
I can move forward. A complete win for me this year or last year is that I decided to do a Tough Mudder in April. Just the act of deciding to do the Tough Mudder was a complete win.
100%.
That was reason enough to celebrate. If I go and I can't complete all of it because it's like 10 plus miles and I don't know, 20 some obstacles,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm still there. I still showed up for myself. it was the initial decision to do something completely out of my comfort zone. And
Yeah.
I hope that people that are going through a health journey or a business journey or any type of journey can be honest with themselves
100%. Yeah.
and come to that place, because it is completely freeing.
Yeah. Well, not only is it completely freeing, it's the only way you're going to grow, right? So
Mhm,
life is a journey, period. Like you said, you can have a health journey, a business journey, but just, relationships, spirituality, whatever.
mhm,
Every day we're kind of faced with this journey to how we get from the time we wake up until the time we go to bed and make it the best day we can possibly make it. And so from that place of like you said, a journey, right? We do have to understand that if we're not completely honest with ourselves,
mhm.
then there's no opportunity for growth, because we're never going to
Right.
actually fix the actual root cause, right? It's like if you ever have had a weed that you can't get to go away because it keeps showing up, right? Because you didn't get it from the
Mhm.
root, you can pull
Right.
the top off of that thing as many times as you want. It's going to keep coming back, right? But so we have to get down into the root, and that's where it requires being 100% honest with yourself,
Yes.
and it's a hard thing to take in, right? Ugh, that's a lot, but
Yeah.
it's true. Yeah,
Because
yeah,
sometimes you don't want to face the fact that, okay, I'm not being honest with myself. I
yeah,
don't want to
absolutely,
face what is going on, because maybe you've had trauma in the past,
100%.
or
Yeah,
something like that, or just a place of fear where you don't feel good enough. Because I was always, believe it or not, very shy and introverted in my early life.
yeah,
And
yeah.
for me to break out of that, and I think that you've seen a little bit of it, because we kind of started having a relationship around the time I started doing lives and
Uh
things.
huh. Uh huh.
It was not an easy process, but
Sure.
it was through building all of these tools and inadvertently coming up with Choose, which, by the way, happy J Day. Today is four
Yes.
years
Yes. I love
since
it.
his heart attack, and he's still here. I told him that. I said happy J Day, and he's like, "What?"
It sounds about like Jay.
And I told him, he's like, "You're so weird."
That's
People in the comments, do you have any questions on the reflecting portion before we go on to talking more about celebrating?
Yeah,
Um,
can I share one more thing too? Because I
yeah.
love what you brought up there, right? That sometimes it is hard to kind of admit or be 100% honest with ourselves. I think this is also really important for people to understand that as humans, we're only going to go as deep as we're ready to go, right? And so
Mhm,
when you start having that, am I being 100% honest with myself? You might not get there in that moment, and that's
mhm.
completely okay, right?
Yeah.
We have to be able to do this. We don't have to go from we never have to go from like 0 to 100, from point
Mhm.
A directly to point B, right?
Yeah.
So a journey is just that. It is
Mhm,
a process. It's not just boom to boom. It's okay, one foot in front of the other. And
mhm,
so when you get to that space and you're struggling with that, it's okay, right? Maybe you just
mhm.
need to kind of regroup. You were telling me that you went out on a walk with the fur baby, right? Just go
Yep.
whatever. And so don't feel like you have to like get, oh my gosh, I'm just not being honest with myself. And
Mhm.
we don't need to find any other reasons to beat ourselves up. We're naturally good at that. So let's just leave that alone, right? Let's find reasons to inspire, collaborate, and encourage ourselves as well. Um, because here's the other thing that I've learned is that in every situation, ourselves, the other people involved in the situation, they're only acting from a place of their current skill, ability, and knowledge level in that moment, right?
Mhm.
And maybe they should know better, but in that moment, that was all they could come up with, right? That was it. And so if we can kind of think of things from that realm and including ourselves, right?
Mhm.
That regret, oh my gosh, why did I do that? Or man, I'm embarrassed by this, or shame, right? You were only acting from that moment of your current skills, ability, and knowledge.
Right.
And so that's what the cool part is now we have an opportunity to reflect and then learn from that moment, and now we have new skills, knowledge, and ability. So
Mhm.
that's what's so cool, I think, about the reflection process. And we can do it in all sorts of different ways as far as like what does reflection look like for you, but sometimes just taking a moment and just accepting what just happened, right? Just sit in it
Mhm.
for a second and say what just happened. That's reflection. right? You don't have to
Yeah.
have a sheet that you fill out or, write a long journal entry or anything like that. I mean, it can look like that too. So that to me is kind of what the basis of reflection is. But then I think we can add even more to that by being intentional with certain types of reflection. Like I ran right before we got started because I forgot to bring it down with me. But um, I've got a sheet in my planner that this is my life here. This is everything in my life, and it's the 5 P's. It's prosperity, principles, people, pleasure, and physicality, and it really just encompasses everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's at the end of the month. Kylene and I take a moment to reflect on all these areas of our lives and rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. And then below it is a space to put in there exactly. It says if the area was not a 10, what could you do to make it a 10? Right. And because ultimately at the end of the day, my goal is to have everything a 10, right? It's not always going to be like that. And so
Right.
when things aren't a 10, I know I need to focus more on that. Like for me right now, definitely my health journey is something I need to get one foot in front of the other, literally at this point. But, those types of things. So making it a process, right? And you can reflect at the end of the day, maybe have a 15-minute block at the end of the day and go, okay, what happened today? What am I grateful for? What did I learn? What am I going to make happen tomorrow? Et cetera, et cetera. So,
And as part of the Choose Challenge,
nice.
this calendar, and it's the same every day with the exception of I have it on Saturday, but you can do it or whenever, is to reflect and celebrate. And it's just to get into the habit of starting it. Sometimes I have to take a break and walk away from the reflection. Just like if I'm so hyper focused on something I'm doing at work and I'm frustrated, I have to walk away. And that's okay.
Yep.
That's okay. It's the process of starting to do it. And I'm new to the reflecting and celebrating part of life. It's not something that I was doing actively for a long time. So
I'm right there with you. So can we pop that comment up too real quick, Tanya? Sorry, I don't mean to be taking over your show here.
No, you're totally fine. I had it ready to click on.
There you go. All right. I love that, by the way. So
everything that happens to us is for a reason, a life lesson, and that is something to be grateful for. I absolutely agree. I'm sorry I don't know your name because it's coming up as Facebook user, but we will go with that. And I love that.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Okay.
So then what does the act of celebrating look like for you?
Yeah. And I mentioned this earlier, and this was definitely an area. Like Kylene, I'll tell you this. It's funny. Kylene and I met in a bowling league. Now I'm not like this. I'm a decent bowler. She was there for fun, and it was really just a fun league. It was a little bit more about the adult beverages and hanging out with your friends kind of thing than it was bowling. But I've done enough bowling. I actually have my own bowling ball. I at the time when I met her, I was about a 175 average bowler. Right? It doesn't matter, but I would bowl. And we're just there having fun, and I would bowl, and ball would go down the lane and it would get a strike, but it would go in the bowling world they call a Brooklyn, which is you go to the other side of the head pin from where you normally would. So I'm left-handed. I should be to the left of the head pin when the ball hits. It would go to the right and I would still get a strike, and I would be upset by that. And Kylene was always like, you just got a strike. Why? I'm like, I know, but I missed. Right. And so, I mean, that really boiled me down to a T. If it wasn't perfect, it was not celebration worthy. But she taught me that the celebration of the process, right? Okay, great. It's a strike. And I learned if I make an adjustment, now the next time I have a better chance of it actually being a good strike or whatever that meant. So including that celebration into your routine of reflection, right? Because again, as humans, our nature is to find all the things that went bad and protect us from danger. So we do have to be intentional about picking out all of the things that went well as also because, celebration of the process. Love this. And so I think celebration for me is really just being intentional about, okay, what did go right? And again, going back to our monthly thing, and I'm still working on December. Actually, after this, I'm going to go give myself some space to work on December. But the second sheet on our little planner thing is we've got a list, and every month we write down 25 things that we accomplished during the previous month.
Oh, I love
And
that.
yeah, yeah, I mean, it's a decent number. You kind of go, okay, 25 things. That's great. Once you get into that 20 range, some just depending on the months, that 15 range, it starts to get a little harder, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, right. What did I, but when you start thinking about it and then you just go, oh yeah. And then, right.
Mhm.
And this opens up just kind of like I was talking about yesterday morning with the gratitude thing. You start getting that feeling and then you start having that motivation, you start feeling that momentum a little bit more. And so what we do is we take and we write out our 25 things that we accomplished, and then we get together and have a meeting. We're actually going to do it tomorrow night. And we go through the list and we say out loud to each other what we accomplished. And the big things we really celebrate, right? Again, we don't always pop confetti cannons, but if it's big enough, we might. But it's just oh yeah, really good job. High
Yeah.
five. I mean, you kind of think of it like a sports team, right? They make a good play, they celebrate
Mhm.
because the reason they celebrate is that's going to motivate them to do that again, right? And
Mhm.
so I think that's what really I've discovered celebration is for me is it really is that extra motivation to kind of do more when we do honestly celebrate when it's not just oh yeah I accomplished that, right? We actually go and we that pride shows up, that joy, that those types of feelings show up for you. That actually activates our dopamine reward system,
Mhm.
and that dopamine reward system is also the reason that we go and do candy or use some of the bad habits too. And so we have to learn how to utilize our dopamine reward system,
Right.
and it it activates that when we celebrate. And then our brain goes, oh, I want more of that, so I got to figure out
Mhm.
how to get more of that. And so I think being really intentional about celebrating, and it's not about being egotistical or like at first it was a little bit hard. People were congratulating me on the book, and I was really like, again, I got back to that why me thing. But
Yep.
when I realized that it wasn't about that, it was about sharing my gifts and being able to do stuff for other people, then it reframes things. And so the celebration is really all about that. How are you sharing your gifts? What is it that you're proud of accomplishing? Because, and I promise I'll shut up in 1 second so you can jump in, Tiny.
You're
But
fine.
this is the other thing that I kind of learned from all this is that when we celebrate, right, it's typically something that we're really good at and we're sharing our
Mhm.
gifts with the world. And we're kind of society kind of tells us to not be braggadocious, and
Mhm.
it's not braggadocious though. This is,
No.
you were put on this earth, God, universe, source energy, whatever it is that you call it, would not put you here without those strengths to do the things.
Mhm.
And so you need to celebrate those things so you'll continue to in the biblical world, they'll say, shine your light, that kind of thing.
Right.
And so um, that's kind of the big celebration piece for me that really kind of lit my fire to make celebration a big part of what I do. Like I said, and I think like you, we didn't do a very good job of that earlier in our
No.
lives. So
No. And one thing that I just realized kind of as we were talking is that, as you know, and a lot of people in here know that I'm very active on TikTok through my health journey, my bariatric journey. And for a while, it was odd because I would go on there and be like, I had these accomplishments. And so that's my act of celebrating. So my act of celebrating can also educate others who are newer in the journey, and
mm-hmm.
that's helpful to them. And then people,
Ooh,
for a while, people are like, oh, you're so inspiring, and that was such an odd thing for me. And now I embrace it. I love to inspire others and own that. And then in the process, I have people that inspire me too, and so it just opens up a world of more collaboration and that whole ripple effect as well. So
yeah.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah. And I think that that's a really interesting point that that definitely makes me think a lot about it too, where it is, you are motivating others, but again, if I lift Tanya up and then
Mhm.
she goes out there and does the things and she celebrates and she shares that, then that lifts me up, and see how we just can just keep doing
Mhm.
that, right? And then so let's get a whole bunch of people in there doing that, and then we're all just, my goodness, how
And
quickly
then
we can get to where we want to go.
you combine that with surrounding yourself with the positive, like-minded people,
Yeah.
and that becomes another superpower, because that combination has made such an impact on my life. I don't pay as much attention to the drama. I find people like Sherry from MOBA that
Mm-hmm.
I can collaborate with, and we're both offering challenges right now, but they go together. They don't compete. They like almost go hand in hand, and it's like um an amazing process.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that fills my cup, and it's important to fill your cup, because
Mm-hmm.
you can't pour from an empty cup. I know that's such a cliche, but it's absolutely true.
Yeah. Somebody was telling, I gotta have to remember who it was. Maybe it was Becky actually. Like there's some sort of a cup and saucer and filling your cup kind of thing, but I didn't get all the details of that. So stay
Yeah,
tuned.
yeah, I remember saying something about that too. Oh,
Was
we're
it
going to be in
Becky?
trouble for not. I think so. We're
Okay.
going to be in
All
trouble
right.
for not listening to her. Well,
Yeah. It's
in
all right.
that case, we couldn't. We were like, what was Aaron's choose thing yesterday? Because I was trying to find a different choose word of the day, because I'm like, I always do the same ones. She goes, but that's what you need.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, again, you're gonna do what it is that you need, right?
Mhm.
We only go as far as our current skills, knowledge, and abilities in that moment. So just
Yeah,
be okay with that. So yeah,
yeah.
yeah, good. All right. Well, yeah. So I mean, as far as I, I think this is so cool. I'm so glad that you had Kylene on last night, because I do
Mhm,
think that all of these things tie so nicely together, right?
mhm,
Starting with the gratitude that gets you kind of moving, but then you got some reflection that allows you to kind of make adjustments and have
yeah,
that continuous growth and ability. And then that celebration on the other side of it, then that leads to more gratitude. And it just
mhm,
makes such a nice cycle that boy, I always call things, an uncommon mindset. And I really do think that's an uncommon mindset. If you kind of
yeah.
think about our typical society, they don't want to operate that way. But
Right,
every
right.
successful person I've ever met or seen, when I'm successful, it all comes from that cycle.
Hmm. Absolutely, I totally agree with that. And it, like I said, wasn't something that came easy, but it's so worth it now.
Yeah.
Um, and for those of you listening, I'm just going to go over a couple things. If you want to contact Aaron, he's with oursuccessgroup.com. He has his link for his new Fundamentals of Business Success book, or you can contact him at consultaaron.com. He's very receptive, and just an amazing person.
Oh, thank you.
If you know someone who could benefit from mindset tools, let us know. Share the Choose Challenge with them. I'm just super excited. And then the other thing is, on Saturday at 11 a.m. Central, I'm going to be doing a vision board workshop kind of thing. I actually just pressed my vision board tumbler for this year, and I'm super excited. It's just a way for me to have something physically in my hand, because I'm all about the visual tools.
Yeah. Well, being
It's very
being
rare
the
that I
smart
don't have a
designer that
message
you
on my shirt.
are. I was gonna say, yeah, that's a Kylene thing. I always tease her about the fact that she doesn't wear decorated shirts. I'm like, come on, we've got the technology for this.
I normally do, but part of one of my TikToks today was to show that this was a Goodwill find, and it's a smaller
Nice,
size. So
good for
embracing
you.
my
I love it.
my
Love it. No,
thrifting abilities.
yeah, very good looking shirt too. So there you go. And now you can decorate it.
Yeah, and I just might. We'll
Yeah,
see.
there you go. Um,
Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
yep.
Anyone in the comments or watching the replay, feel free to comment some more, ask us questions. We love to talk.
But we did it in the time that you had talked about. So I'm proud of
Yeah, that's
myself.
really impressive for us.
I did go really fast though, because I knew I had to squeeze all that in. But all right.
All
Oh,
right,
I got.
everyone.
Can I
Thanks for
leave people
joining.
with this? Yeah, sorry. Let me leave people with this. We're at the end of the year. Um, Here is the number one question that you could ask yourself, and this is really hard. So again, you're only going to go as deep as you're ready for.
Mhm.
But if you look at anything that maybe feels like a roadblock, or that you feel stuck on, or whatever the case may be, something that feels a little bit difficult, ask this question of yourself. Say, what am I pretending not to know?
Mhm.
And so I wanted to leave that with folks for the kind of that last golden nugget. If you're stuck, ask that question and be honest with yourself and see what shows up. And that's probably what you need to lean into.
Mm-hmm. And I love that. I've done that several times because I hear your voice in my head.
Aaron going, what are you pretending not to know? Okay. Uh-oh. I've gotten to that point. All right. Well, thank you, Tanya. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in there, but I was like, oh no, I forgot. I wanted to leave that with everybody at the end. So
Absolutely fine. I'm going to sign off. Have a great day, everyone, and contact us if you need us. Bye.
thank you.